Good evening, everyone. We're glad you stopped by. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Two Average Joes with your host from Lake Havasu, Arizona, Tony P., and from Long Beach, California, Joe Kelly. Hey, sit down, relax, have your favorite beverage. Maybe you'll learn something about yourself. So without further ado, Two Average Joes.
There he is.
What's going on, brother man? Hey, did you know
I hope I did.
that co-pilot and pilots have to eat two separate different meals before they get on a plane so they don't both get food poisoning?
I did not know that.
Strange but true. Had to learn something new every day.
Now, theoretically and statistically, it could still be possible to get it from both, right?
They could get it from the water.
I don't think it's
drinking.
the cure-all. Like,
No.
both foods could be bad.
This is true. Well, AI's gonna be flying planes anyway soon. So,
but maybe it slows down a few people from getting the bad fish.
This is true, but something
airline.
I didn't know. Also, here's something interesting: peacocks. Peacocks. The plumage is beautiful, big old fan things. Those are the males, and the male of every species of bird has to have attractive feathers to attract the mates. But all peacocks are not called peacocks. The females are called peahens. I never thought about that either. You got peacocks and peahens. It's like, hey, strange but true facts.
Never heard of a peahen.
And one more fact about birds: what do you call a flock of ravens?
Flock of ravens. I think they were that techno band from the 90s, weren't they?
Close, almost there.
Close? No cigar?
They call them a murder.
A murder.
A murder of crows. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, so some strange facts for us here today. So, hey.
Well, we have quite a few murder of quails out here in the desert because you'll see them like when the family's first born, right? There's like 12 birds following mom, and then it's 8, 6. They get picked up everything from owls, and we've got the road runners. They snatch them up. Bobcats, coyotes. This is the desert out here.
Well, interesting fact about quails. My uncle Sonny, called him Pops. That's where I get my name Pops from my being a granddad. But he was very big in Southern politics, and he quail hunted with Ted Turner all the time. And I said, so how is it hunting with Ted Turner, Pops? And he says, well, it's politics, son. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, we'll go out and buy ourselves 10 or 12 quail. We'll take them out where we're going to hunt, and underneath some brush, we'll put some bird feed, and you reach down into the cage and you grab the quail on top of the head, turn him upside down, and spin him like this for a couple of minutes or a minute or so.
It's like WWF.
And you put them down, and they run to they'll run right to where the feed is because they're disoriented, and they'll hang out there. So you got 10 or 12 quail hanging out underneath this bush. And the thing is you've got intelligent dogs, and Dolly was an intelligent dog. So she'd get out of the car and she'd look at like, really? And she'd point to the bush, and Ted Turner they'd rustle it, and he'd get like 5, 6, 7 in one shot, which is a big deal. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool. He goes, no, that's politics, son. That's politics. That's a true fact.
And it must be safer hunting with him than Dick Cheney, because that can sometimes go awry.
It might depend on what line of sight you're in. If you're in his, you're in trouble.
Like it did. Hey, guess what? With a couple comments, I'll share them.
Okay.
Get your take. Quasimodo. Too funny that you brought up the old school gum cigarettes. He said he remembered the paper ones where you'd blow and you get like 2 puffs out of it, right?
Right.
Then he said, and then there was the chalk ones that were all skinny. And he said he still buys them. He just bought a box last week for 50 cents.
Wow.
Quasimodo. Thanks, Quasi.
Thanks.
And then, on the topic of the aliens, right? We had the topic about the aliens. And by the way, that show was very flattering. We've had a lot of success with that show. I knew it was just so fun for us. I knew it was going to be something people wanted to see.
Yeah.
And it's a topic. And so Tower 5 Crew HB, I think this is out near your hood, Tower 5 Crew HB. There are no aliens, in my opinion. Those would be demons, fallen angels that were cast out of heaven. Why wouldn't you see them in space on their way to Earth? They take as long as it takes to get here, and then they would just leave. Makes no sense to me. There will be a great reset. We talked about that. There will be a great reset. It is written in the book of Revelations. You would know more about that than I would, my friend. A lot of what people see can be future weapons being developed. Just my opinions. And listen, we've said it before. If anybody would like to come on and talk and has a topic they want to talk about, or they just want to jump in on our topic, we'd love to have someone on. It'd be great to get a third opinion,
And
especially if you don't agree with us.
now, see, the one thing that Tony and I appreciate is that we don't like people that agree with us all the time. You give us people that have an opinion other than us so we can have maybe open up a debate about it or something, because we don't believe that either you believe what I believe or screw you. No, we want to have lots of opinions so we can learn more. That's the I
Right.
mean,
Right.
that's there's no such
Yeah.
thing as original.
Actually, I really don't like people to have a different opinion than me. But no, I'm just kidding. You know, you just it's you just have to remind yourself that's why it's America,
Yeah,
because we take it for granted being able to say, "Oh, fuck you, I don't believe your shit or whatever, that's a luxury that a lot of people don't have. And we've talked about that before. As long as you don't get out of control with it, right? It doesn't become physical. We're not fucking costing businesses money. We're not doing all these charades in the street. But to be able to say what you want, do what you want. And a lot of people have gotten things done by doing so in a peaceful manner, by the way. It's not like it can't be done and doesn't happen.
right.
I think we're both the same way. We just,
Yeah.
I'm glad you get to have your belief.
Yeah, well, it makes me feel good to be, and that's one thing when I pray. It's like, thank you for allowing me to be in a country that I can say what I want to and not get shot in the face for it. Because there's a lot of countries you can't think what I think.
A lot of people say, "Oh, well, every kid should go into the military, right? You should at least 2 years serve your time." And I don't know that I'm necessarily opposed to that. I don't think it does much harm, especially nowadays. Kids are taking so long to decide what they want to do, anyways, right? So go kill a couple of years, make some bucks, get some free education, or if you have the luxury of money, the folks or yourself, then go travel. And I think if you did that, one, you'd be able to determine maybe what interests you most in life and what you want to do, because you have such a worldly vision of different areas and cultures, whether it's health or food or how people get along or how they treat you. You know what I mean? It's like going to bartending school and thinking you can step behind the bar and pour drinks for a night. No,
Right.
not going to happen. This one, you go grab a keg. I'm going to promote the bar back. So I think that would behoove a lot of people to see that, and not trying to say that, oh, everyone's going to come back and kiss the ground, but I think there would be a bit of a greater appreciation, because even on our worst day, it's a pretty great country.
Yeah.
On our worst day,
I know I'm ADD, but you were talking about bartending and training, and I had a kid come up to me recently and said, "Hey, I'm going to go to a bartending school. What do you think about it?" I said, "You're wasting $1,300." He said, "Why?" I said, "This is what you do. You go into a restaurant and say, look, I want to be a barback or a busboy because I want to be a bartender, but I want to learn it." I said, "Then you go to work every day and you take
right,
one file card and you ask the bartender, tell me a drink." And you write that card down and you learn a drink once a day. And so by the time you're ready to bartend, you say, "Look, I know how to do this stuff. Well, let's train you." You're a quick day of training and that's all done through. But I said, "Dude, you're wasting your money." I said, going to bartending school is like taking the bar exam and thinking you can practice law. You can't. You know the law, but you don't know how to practice.
right,
They don't
right,
teach you how to go
right,
in front of a jury and how to
right,
deal with all that
right.
stuff.
No,
So, anywho, just a little
you're not
something.
going to walk into the court day one like Lee Bailey. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
No,
And
I
I'm
mean,
sorry, you
the
are
real
not going to
growth and
walk
learning.
into a bar and expect to know. I mean, I remember one time there was a guy that behind the bar, and I could tell he wasn't experienced. And this is
Right.
you'll appreciate this. I said, "Hey," I was with a girl, and I said, "That's in my 20s or something." I said, "Hey, I want 2 Kyoki coffees." And he looked at me, and he turned around and looked around. He said, "I think we're out of Kyoki." So I said, "Why don't you give me 2 draft beers?" So it's like, I don't see you can screw
Right.
that one up. So it's like Kyoki is Kahlua and whiskey and coffee, something like that. And it's like he told me he was out of
Right.
Kyoki. So I mean, it's you got to watch those things. People try to sell
Well,
you.
it's not easier. It's not easy to learn. That's why the barbacks have an advantage, because they start by pulling some draft beers and then getting some shots, and they sort of work their way into it. But more importantly, they understand the layout and everything. That's the biggest advantage. They're already familiar with the system, because a new bartender, you got to learn the system as well as all the drinks and everything. And it's a lot easier now. You know that, because back in the day, remember some real dickhead bartenders, you had to call that in order. And I don't know the exact order. You probably do because you were a bartender. Was it
Neat
like
rocks, water,
drafts,
soda,
mixes?
sevens. Neat Rocks Water Soda Sevens. I think that's about it, or something like that.
It's like a nursery rhyme.
Neat Rocks Water Soda Sevens. Ah,
But
take
if
this.
that
Get
girl,
out of my
and so
face.
it was the same with the cocktail server. If she got up there and she was new and all nervous and she started calling the drinks off the wrong order, bartender just walked away.
Exactly.
You call me when you got your shit together. We'll make some
Right.
drinks. Every job you have to learn. I do
Joel
want to pick your
Barrett.
brain. I
Remember
want to
Joel?
pick your brain on you're a music guy, so
Music guy. Okay.
and you do guitar, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to pick your brain. This came up online, and I don't play guitar, but I do recognize these names. If you could choose one guitarist to teach you, and you get a whole year with them, who are you picking? Now, I could throw some names out there first, or you can just shout it out if you already know, and we'll see if they're even on the list of the top 8.
Well, here's the thing. It's like some of my favorite guitarists have taken lessons from Joe Satriani. Joe Satriani is the shit. I mean, Steve Vai went to take lessons with Joe Satriani, and he said, no, was it? No, it
He's
was
not on
the
the
guy,
list,
from Metallica, Kurt Hammond. He went to
right?
take lessons from him, and the first day he went to lessons, he goes, "Okay, your first lesson is learn your keyboard. Your fretboard. I want you to know every note on the fretboard." So he comes back the next week. He goes, "Did you learn them?" He goes, "Well," and he goes, "No, that's the wrong answer. Get out of here. I want you to show me every F sharp on the fretboard. I want you to show me every C sharp on the fretboard." So Joe Satriani is into mechanics. I mean, he's got a lot of soul with his guitar and he plays really well, but he's just on the money. I mean, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Alan Holsworth. I know a lot of really good guitarists, and I don't even know if they're on but even Eddie Van Halen wouldn't be somebody I want to take lessons from because he's too innovative. He has his own style. So you'd have to learn a new style where these guys are like, here, I
Right.
need you to learn these chord progressions because this is what's going to make you, you put this, you can do this anywhere you want to, this pentatonic scale, you can do it that way. So that's why I like that kind of thing. So I think it would
So
be Joe
his name was
Satriani.
Joe
Satriani.
Joe Satriani. Is he a cousin or related to the guy that has the spice that you do the voiceover for?
Satriani. No, actually, Joe Satriani is he's from the 80s and the 90s, and he was a three-piece band. He did some work, and actually there's a called the G3 tour, and I went and took Sue last year to see it, and I saw Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but there all these great guitarists come out, and you've got the famous drummers and these backup guys come and play with their friends. So yeah, Joe Satriani is still number one. If you look him up, you'll know you'll recognize a lot of his stuff.
And the spice I'm thinking of, that's what Tony Satcher. What's that? What's one? Was
Sacheries, Tony Sacheries.
Tony Satcher? Can you do one for us?
Was it Tony Sacheries?
I'm putting you on the spot. Can you do? Can you give us a 15-second read? Do you have
It's
it nearby?
it's like it's like I can cook better than any two women put together. No, but seriously, whenever I'm cooking in the kitchen and I'm doing steak, shrimp, or the other white meat, everything is its next level best with Tony Chachery's zesty Creole seasoning. That's real quick off the top of my head, though. I even put it on my peach cobbler. Just kidding you. It's
Well, it's funny you mentioned. So you did mention Eddie Van Halen. He's on the list. I'll run through them real quick just for humor. Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Eddie Van Halen, B.B. King, Slash, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Brian May. I'm not now these
oh
last two I'm not familiar with. Brian
oh
May
my
and Mark
gosh.
Mark Mark Knopfler.
Knopfler. Okay, now Mark Knopfler is from Money for Nothing and Your Chicks for Free. He's from
Yeah, who is that?
shoot. I'm trying to think of the name of the group. The Sultans of
Ask Siri.
Swing. The Sultans of
Oh
Swing is
yeah. That
so.
was what, 80s, 90s?
Yeah, in 90s,
90s.
90s. Now, you mentioned Mark Knopfler. Yeah, that he is from. I can't. I'm drawing a brain fart. But the other one you said was who?
Brian May.
Now, Brian May. Here's the interesting thing about Brian May.
He looks
Bri-
like a rocker.
Brian May is the lead guitarist for Queen.
You're
Now,
kidding.
not only this is going to blow your mind if you don't know
Not enough
anything about
credit, eh?
you don't know about Brian May. Brian May,
Right.
the guitar that he plays, you watch him play, he built that guitar when he was a teenager with his dad out of pieces of crap he found around the house. Yep, that's it. That guitar, he built that guitar. There's like pieces of the mantelpiece and the fretboard and stuff like that. But here's something
Right.
else for you. He has a PhD in astrophysics and he's a consultant for Astronomy magazine.
What?
He's a genius, man. Smart guy.
No shit. That's pretty impressive.
He's a brainiac. So he brings a new level to music. So Brian May, that would be good to learn from. But Joe Satriani would take you through a lot of. I think it's important because he's very structured. Like Steve Vai would be crazy to learn from too, because when he was young, he went and worked for Frank Zappa. And what he would do for Zappa was he goes, Frank Zappa gave him all this music that he heard listening. He goes, I want you to transpose all this, put it on paper, paid him like $25 a page or something like that. But he transposed all
Right.
his music. He's a genius too. Steve Vai is I've seen Steve Vai with Whitesnake when Adrian Vandenberg broke his hand in the 90s. I got to watch Steve Vai play with Whitesnake, so that was pretty cool. So a couple of my favorite
Well, I
musicians.
actually thought you were going to pick Eddie Van Halen.
See the thing.
And at least I get a half a point because you at least mentioned him that you wouldn't want to learn from him. So I think it's at least I get a half a point because just the fact that you mentioned his name.
Well, I've
But
seen Eddie. I've seen Eddie twice. I've seen him twice in concert, and you stand there with your mouth
with Van
open.
Halen,
Yeah, with your mouth open, you're just like, "Fuck." I
with
mean, it's
David Lee Roth, or with Sammy Hagar.
both. I saw one with each.
One each. Look at you,
Yeah,
two
saw one of
timer.
each. Yeah. Well, no, I
Oh,
go to concerts a lot. So like Sammy Hagar, I've seen him a lot. I like. He's one of my favorite. The Red Rocker's amazing. I've seen him by himself. I've seen him with Van Hagar. I
really?
went down to
Wow.
Cabo. It was funny. I walked into a house of there was a chick. There's always a chick that's one of the guy friends, and she had talked to her boyfriend, and she was gonna have him come over for dinner, and she her grandmother had died recently, and they left her a bunch of money, so she bought
Right.
tickets to take him down to Cabo San Lucas and enjoy some time. He came over from dinner, and she said, I've got something to share with you. He said, I want to talk to you first. I think we should break up. And she said, oh, thank you, you just saved me some time. So she didn't even tell him about the trip, and so she goes to the our party house, and she asked a bunch of people. I walked in, she goes, hey, can you take some time off soon? I said, yeah, I'm work for Outback, but they owe me some time. He says, well, can you get a week off? I said, yeah. She goes, I've got an all expense paid trip to Cabo San Lucas. Do you want to go with me? I said, yeah. So we went down there and enjoyed ourselves. In the first 2 days, Friday and Saturday, Sammy Hagar was headlining at the Cabo Wabo, and so we got to see it both
Wow.
times for free.
No
And it
way.
was for free. In
Jeez.
fact, it was cool because the second night I was there was this long-haired guy in front of me, and Rocker obviously, well, he disappeared, and his hot girlfriend's right next to me, and she's like, Sammy, Sammy, because we were right underneath the mic, and she says, it's my boyfriend's birthday. He wants to play guitar with you. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So the guy comes back, and Sammy does a double take and goes, okay. He goes, hey, we got a special guest for you. Where are you? What's your name? Joe, whatever. Where are you from? Chicago? Well, why don't you come up? He's going to play for us on his birthday. He takes Sammy's Red Rocker guitar and tore it up. And Sammy's with a towel doing the fan into the flames. And I'm privy to everything that's going on because I'm right underneath the mic. And he says, dude, you fucking rock. He says, what are you doing after after concert, after we get done? He goes, nothing. He goes, I want you to come up to my house with me. He said, you got a tape? He pulls a cassette out. He goes, yeah, I got a cassette. Gives him a demo tape of himself and gives it to him. So I saw the birth of somebody's rock and roll, probably a studio career. But I watched this kid from Chicago just shred it, and Sammy just gave him complete props for it. It's kind of cool, man. I enjoyed it. Nice moment. Okay, Tony, do me a favor. Describe a time when you were your own worst enemy.
Like this week
Whenever that you can,
or
because I think of it,
whenever?
I got something immediately in mind for myself, but I was just curious what describe a time when you were your own worst enemy. It could be 20 years ago, it could be today, it could be yesterday.
In order to pick like the worst time that happens, because shit, how many times has that happened, right? Thousands. But I would say the one that had biggest effect lifetime wise is that not keeping my family together, and we've talked about this.
Right.
So I would say that would have to be number one because I can't think of anything else that I have a few regrets, but that is one, if not the top one for
Yeah.
sure. So
Well, mine was drinking. I mean, it's like I every bad decision I ever made got me in trouble seriously when I was drinking, and so it's like I haven't had a drink since 2019 August, and just I don't miss it one bit because it's like I was my worst enemy. I mean, I used to get up in the morning. I mean, when I was after I left you, went off to work. See, it was wild because was it Tim Burns, the tiny Tim Burns was he was my
Right.
DM over there. Hey, don't worry about it. We'll get you somebody that's good with the books. I go, I don't know how to do books. I've never done it before. And so they give me a young guy that's brand new, knows nothing about it. I worked right after Lee Kahn, and Lee Kahn didn't do any capital because he wanted to save his money and get a good bottom line. And so it all came about the next year. I had to get all this crap done, and I was so much in debt because he created so much of a hole for myself. And I started drinking.
Right.
I was like going in there and every morning, first thing, I was just like shaking. We had that tree in the back. I'd grab a 7 ounce rocks glass, lift up the vodka, and just fill it up. A little splash of cranberry juice. I called it a Shirley Temple Black. And I would shoot down that full 7 ounce rocks glass of vodka first thing in the morning.
Really?
I was bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was an alcoholic for some years. I mean, I was functioning a lot, but then it got to the point where it caused some problems and almost got me in trouble. So I quit completely. 17 years I've been out of alcohol. So it was.
And do you have your coins?
No, I don't. I see. The thing is I'm one of these
You
like
just did it.
yeah. My mentor said he goes, I've never met someone like you. It's like I say, hey, if you want to improve your life, change this. Okay, it's changed, and so I did it. I decided, hey, I'm going to take cold showers. It's now been 5 years and a month. I've been taking nothing but cold showers. I haven't got into a warm shower,
So
and
you
so.
don't you have you gone to AA meetings?
No, well, with people I have with them, but I don't know. See, there was because I was such an alcoholic, there was 3 or 4 days of white knuckling it. I need to take some time off and sitting in bed and with the cold sweats and convulsions. Yeah, I mean, realized how much I was addicted to it, but a girl tried to get me in trouble, and it's like, oh, okay, no, I'm way smarter than that, and you can't manipulate things to get me in trouble. So in fact, it's a long story, but yeah, I got myself out of trouble, and it's like I will never have another drink, never, never. It's just
Hmm.
that got me in a lot of trouble. So.
And when you like you just you'd go in and you'd have that drink, did you continue during the day?
Yeah, it
Or
was
was
just
it just that one to take the edge?
no, it was just, in fact, with vodka, you can't really smell it on people's breath. That's why I didn't drink scotch or bourbon or something like that or gin. But I drank the vodka and I used a lot of Banaka. And it was just like when things started feeling like I never got drunk. I just got that buzz, that okay, take the edge off, a hair of the dog kind of
Right,
thing. So that's what I
right.
did. I maintained all day long, and it was bad sometimes when my wife she told me, "You're not gonna." Ex-wife is like, you're not going to get to see your kids until you take me to court, and it's going to be 3 months. So you don't get to see your kids for 3 months. And I would sit there with a hi hat. Remember those things that you put the champagne in?
Yeah,
I'd
right.
sit home and watch DVDs or actually VHS at the time with a hi hat of absolute vodka and just drink it straight from the bottle and put it right back in the hi hat. I was pretty bad. I mean, it's like
Well,
I went to some therapy for a while, years but after that, and the guy said, he goes, "Well, you always wanted to kill yourself. You just didn't want to pull the trigger."
now is are you familiar with AA?
Oh yeah, I've been to it.
Is so they have what I guess what is it, the 12 steps, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And is it a Christian based organization? Is it just funded by the government? And is there a connection between the Bible and the 12-step process?
Well, they started as a Christian organization, but it's like the same way America started as to escape persecution, religious persecution, and practice the way they wanted to. Well, that gives everybody else with any religion the opportunity to do the same thing. So you can't.
Right,
So there's things like Sue went to Narnon, which is Narnon. Al-Anon is for those who are codependents of alcoholics, and Narnon is for
right,
people who are codependents of drug addicts. And our daughter was a drug addict. She went to this codependency group because her daughter was a drug addict, and they did not want you talking. They always talk about your higher power. They don't talk about God or Yahweh or
right.
Odin or whatever. It's just a higher power. So I think it's is there something about the 12 steps that's religious or Christian? I don't know. I'd have to look at it. But the one thing is that, I mean, the forgiveness thing, I always think that forgiveness is a big deal. People say, well, I'm afraid to go get forgiveness for these things that I've done. I'm like, well, the forgiveness is for you. It's not for them because, I mean, they've forgotten about you. They don't want to deal with you. But when you've got this
Right.
festering, there's the word disease is a dis-ease in your homeostasis. That's where dis-ease comes from. And so when you have that going on, if you confess like, hey, I'm sorry, I screwed you over this time and I apologize for that, then you're like, well, what does that do? That relieves you of that guilt, and so you can go on with your life. I mean, they're going to forgive you whether they do or not. It doesn't matter, but you've gotten it off your chest. So that's one of
Right.
the 12 steps is going back and asking all the people that you screwed over when you were an alcoholic, ask for an apology for it and all the things you've done wrong.
What are your thoughts on the importance of art in education? So we're going to assume, K through 12.
I think it's incredibly important to be right and left minded. I mean, it's like if you're in your right mind, that means you're basically left-handed, creative. That's kind of the way this stereotype they have. But I think it's really important, especially. I mean, when I was my mother stressed art to me. I drew a lot, I painted a lot, and then I started taking. My dad was a mathematician. He worked for IBM, so he was choleric. He was very, choleric about things. My mom was very sanguine about things. So you've got different parts of that DISC going on that we had on the back of every door at Black Angus, the disc. And the thing was, though, is that when I got to third semester calculus, which is three-dimensional, you've got X, Y, and then you've got a Z coordinate, which brings things three-dimensional. Then I was able to start seeing these pictures. And I think it was because of my art background. I could see mentally the pictures that were being created with these equations that I was using. So I think it's very important to have that aspect going on. I mean, look at all the famous mathematicians who've been musicians. I mean, what Einstein played violin. These are things, I know that's mathematical and you can look at it that way, but you have to have a creative outlet. You have to have some way to express yourself and not just be all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Isn't that what Jack Nicklaus said?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a perfect opportunity since you just mentioned it that way. As I was thinking today about, why is this podcast so important? And it's because it's my outlet for the week. You're a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. I'm working 80 something hours a week. And so I cherish the hour that I spend with you because I compare it to like when you're golfing, like when you're out on the golf course, you're not thinking of anything because you're just so pissed at that fucking ball in your swing, right?
Yeah,
You got bigger problems when you're on the golf course. So
exactly.
I compare it to that. It's like such a getaway and such an outlet for me. So I appreciate the time that you take and that we spend.
Hey, and
And
you stimulate my mind too. It's like, hey, I've been watching. In fact, I just watched a scene the other day. It was with, I forgot his name, with Michael. And he goes, how do I smell? He goes, you smell like Paco Rabanne climbed up your ass and died when they were going up to kill. It wasn't Paul, it was Jimmy. They were going to go kill
oh yeah,
Jimmy,
yeah, Jimmy the Rat. Yeah,
Jimmy
yeah,
the
yeah.
rat. So
That, one of the bit. I mean that I don't care what anyone says, and I liked Breaking Bad. I didn't see all the Game of Thorns and shit like that, and there's a few
Game of Thrones,
that
yeah,
I
but
think I missed out on that would be excellent series too. But man, that writing in The Sopranos could just go from gruesome to hilarious to and then the typical Italian stereotype, the way they did things and stuff. But I don't think that's totally made up. I've never spent that. You've been to New York,
yeah.
so you've gone to Jersey. It's a lifestyle, right? It's a culture.
Well, we had a guy, I don't even know his name, but he was mafia. I know that's all I know is he was connected. Came to Emily Shaw's and I worked there, and it was a four-star restaurant that I worked at as a busboy, then a waiter. And they left the car running the whole time, had a limo out there running, having dinner, and some one of the busboys pissed him off, and that guy didn't work there anymore. He was gone. I mean, it was like so. I mean, I've seen mafia in action. I've known people who were connected. I've never had to worry about that, but I did drug deals with people that were connected. I mean, I did drug deals with people that were working for the Columbia. They were runners for the Columbia Mafia when the cocaine was being taken up north and stuff. Did that kind of thing. So, as the final answer to your question, I think that you must nurture the arts because if you don't, you're not going to be able to say, well, what if? What if? Because that's what art does is, what if I took this line and made it this way? What if I drew this like this? At the same time, what if I looked at this problem in this way instead of this way? So it
Right,
teaches you to be more
right.
creative. So I think it's very much important to be for arts to be part of it. Well, so, let me ask you something. Is
Yes,
it
yes, sir.
possible for anyone to be completely self-made?
Self-made, like there's so many ways to interpret that. Self-made as like financially.
That's for you to. It's an open-ended question. Is it possible for anyone to be completely self-made? Can you live island-like in your life and be completely self-sufficient and
Well,
successful?
I think anybody can live to a point where they can be self-sufficient, and many people do, and or let's say even say by themselves, or without the assistance of someone. But when you tie it into the human nature of always wanting more, like if you're a millionaire or a billionaire or someone who makes 32,000 a year, you still have the same financial woes and questions and things that you go through, right? It's
Right.
just at a different volume. So how it affects isn't always the same. And in that case, I think people that as they gain, they want more.
That's just true. I'd say,
And
the
so if you still want, can you really claim that you're, I don't know, you could say you're self-sufficient, but are you made whole? Well, no, because to say like you're whole means you're great at every level of your life. And I think there's a lot of people like that. And I think spiritually that assists a lot of people like that because a lot of people with great faith, I don't want to be cheesy with the quote, but they don't sweat the small stuff because because they know at the end of the day, all that shit doesn't matter, right?
right.
But it's also human nature to think about. So you got to wake up in the middle of the night, right? You got something you start thinking about. I think it happens. I mean, are you able to zen out and never stress at all? I mean, is it finances and life and family always something that's always a challenge and something you'd want more of or to do better of?
Well, see, that's the problem. It's like that's the one scripture that I always have problems with. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything. Don't worry about anything,
Right,
but with prayer and
right.
supplication and with thanksgiving, make all your requests be known to God." So the thing is that it's so hard not to be anxious because, I mean, the one thing he says is that, look, have you ever seen a bird that didn't get to eat what he wanted? God takes care, and God loves you more than any two birds, so He's going to take care of you too. So that's the thing.
Right.
It's like everything I need, I get. It's not everything I want. There's a difference, but it's amazing that I was reading this thing today, and they were talking about the 6 levels of income in California, and 5,500 a month is poverty in California. Making 5,500 a
Unbelievable.
month, yeah, and you have to get to 12,000, 18,000 a month to be just a little bit better than getting by middle income. Then you've got 20,000, 40,000 is successful. But the fact is you make 10,000 in California and you're not doing great. You're not unless you
And
started.
that's 120,000 a year.
Is that crazy or what? That just doesn't make sense.
Right.
But the thing is that I've been I have what I need, and I just don't worry about the things that I can't control. It's taken a long time to get to that point, but I don't need the stress in my life. I'm trying to. I mean, I just got my Medicare Advantage card, so I'm feeling pretty good about that thing. So
Oh
even
God,
even
that must feel fantastic. I
oh
can't
yeah.
wait.
I mean,
Shit.
full medical, full dental, full vision. The only thing I got to pay
Oh,
on is everything zero deductible, zero copay. Unless I have an emergency, I got to go to the hospital. It's 120, but that does I don't care. That's no big deal.
yeah.
But but the fact is, I talked to my dad's widow, and I said, Carol, you've got Medicare Advantage, don't you? She goes, oh yeah. And I said, how much? Because I've got to have 2 replacement shoulders put in, fake ligaments. She said, this is how
Right.
much you're going to pay. That's how much you're going to pay for both of those things. It's like zero out of your pocket expenses, and it's like with that and the blue placard I have, so I can park pretty nicely. I don't like the way I earned it, but hell, I'm going to use the damn thing. I've got it. So,
Yeah. I can't wait to get some work done too. I can't wait. Let me shoot you one more, my friend.
all right, brother.
What is your opinion on the role of rituals or traditions in maintaining a sense of identity? Are they
Well,
talking about like people that wear a cross or something, or what are
Well,
they?
it's like, is there something you do to make sure that you can maintain who you think you are or who you identify as? I don't believe in ritual. I don't believe in ritual, although there's things that I'm maybe ritualistic as a joke about. I go to the Braves game, I'm putting on my Braves gear. I'm, doing
Right.
my little things I do.
Right.
But
I go gambling. I wear my red boxers.
there you go. There's rituals that we have, but no, I don't think that I adhere to those things like I did when I was younger. I'm a little bit too
Right.
wise for that to think. That I think that it's even it comes to like rituals. If you're talking about a religious thing, religious, I don't believe there. I believe there's a difference between religion and faith. I think religion is something that man uses to police society with, to keep people in
Did,
line.
did you ever have a rabbit's foot?
No, and I know what they look like and I've seen it, but I've never
But
needed
you didn't
one.
have it on your keychain or anything.
No, no, no,
Thank you. Me neither. I did. I'll tell you this though. I did have a duck's foot one time. Me and my cousin, we were leaving my house. It was out on the lake, right? The driveway was sort of steep, and we're going up, and the duck was crossing the road, right? And you know how it is when a bird crosses the road; they always get the fuck out of the way. I lived on this lake a long time. I grew up out there, right?
okay.
From at least like sixth grade on. So I knew the ducks always moved. And I got closer and I got closer, and I'm like, oh shit, that motherfucker's not moving. And boom, I hit it. and killed it. Anyway, my cousin's with me, and he's my cousin David, and he's like, oh, and he gets out and he gets it or whatever, and he wanted to keep it. I don't even know what that portion of the story. Jump forward a few months, he comes out, and we're gonna go party, and he gives me this gift, and you'll appreciate this being from the 80s. He shellacked the foot of the duck, and where the bone was coming up, he attached a clip for a joint.
That's funny. That is funny. All right, folks, we want to thank you for spending time with us. We're glad you were here. We enjoy our time with you, and it's just nice to see Tony. Makes me feel warm and fluffy, and in a manly way. But thanks very much for your time. Everybody, be good humans and love the person next to you. Have a wonderful day. Take care now.